Who get fairy dust? I get fairy dust. Anomaly, you know, I had to hide her away, but she gets fairy dust, and so does Bagel too. Um, also, hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. We got to get it all. The brain knows what's coming. The brain knows after we hear hello, 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 good to see you. The brain knows like, oh, something's happening. Something's happening. Okay, so let me start off with a few things. Let's get our bingo shit out. If you're not playing, you don't need even a bingo card. You can just make a little note on your thing that you did. Yay, we got our bingo. I suggest, and first of all, you get a sticker for being here. And I suggest you get a sticker for every single time anything that I say resonates, or you've had an insight, or something applies to you, that you can get a sticker for that. Because that means you're working, and that's amazing. And this is hard shit, and we're doing it. Second point of business is that you do need to know I have my Bambi lashes on. Absolute representing the fawns. Number 3, I may shorten your question. If you sent me a question, I got questions ahead of time from newsletter people. We might get to them all. We might not. I'm not sure. But so what I'll do is, you don't have to talk to me if you don't want. You don't have to show your face. You don't have to talk. You don't, whatever. I'll read the question, and then if you want to join in, you just unmute and talk to a bitch. And we'll go from there. And like I said, we may get to all of them, we might not. Let's see. And I just want to remind everybody, this work that I do is, yes, I happen to be a therapist, but this work that I do and that I always talk about is from a personal place. It's my experience, strength, and hope. I don't know what's best for anybody else. I do know what's best for me. And, I figured some things out along the way. So, and also please always take what I say with a grain of salt, and also treat everything as an experiment, and also take what you need and leave the rest. Like these are all important things that, as we heal, we increase our discernment. And in the end, I remember when I was in grad school, there was this, there's a lot of different theorists about how to do therapy. And of course, we talked a lot about one. And there was this guy in the class, and he's like, I think I'm going to have my own theory, which I thought was pretty ballsy. And of course, it was a guy that he had the courage and confidence to say such a thing and to own it. But I, looking back on that, I'm like, that's so, so cool. But that's what we're all doing for ourselves, is we're coming up with our own theory for ourselves. We're coming up with bingo works for me, bingo doesn't work for me. But that doesn't mean I'm doing it wrong. It just means that that's not working for me. So ... what can I find that's going to work for me? And yeah, so just remember that, and that, truly, 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 and always, and always, and always, you know the answer. You know what's best for you. You truly, truly do. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I mean, we've already started, but let's get started with the question. And the first question is, I'm pretty new to your work. I am feeling myself go into freeze mode. So it's a freeze mode question. All I want to do is stay in bed all day and eat and watch YouTube videos. I also have a shit ton of stuff to do around the house since we're moving this summer. My question is, should I allow myself to embrace the freeze mode, or do I fight it? Do I figure out ways to shift my mood? Dancing, doing things to, like dancing, do things to up my energy, or do I allow myself to freeze for a certain amount of time and then force myself to be productive? Basically, how do I survive as a freeze mode bitch in a world where you have to hustle and get shit done? This is, I mean, I could have absolutely written every word of this. Here's what I found. Okay. So the psyche is in charge, and the psyche won't be fooled. The psyche really isn't interested in getting my shit done. Let me say that in another way. That let me say how, hold on 1 second. Let me get the words. Where did they go? Um, we have a physical immune system, and I believe we have a psychological immune system that mirrors the physical immune system. So when you get sick, your immune system is like, all right, let's save this bitch. Let's give her, let's give her the sniffles to get some of this stuff out. Let's make her tired so she can't move, so she'll lie down so we can, because all my energy, my immune system energy needs to be put toward killing whatever this virus is or bacteria is. So this bitch is just going to have to lay flat out while I'm busy doing this. And it doesn't really care if I have things to do. It doesn't care. Example I like to use a lot is because the immune system is all about, I'm going to make her survive. It's all about survival. And so just like if you held your breath and you're like, I'm just going to hold my breath forever, I've just decided that I'm going to do that, at some point you will pass out. Your immune system will make, your physical immune system, your brain will make you pass out, because it's saying, what a dumb idea, we have to breathe. And so it's going to make me pass out so I can breathe. So it doesn't care about my goals or my dreams or whatever. The immune system will always trump, the physiological immune system will always trump anything that I want to do. Okay. I believe that we have a mirror system, our psychological immune system, that is the same way. And that it is also trying to help us survive. But we don't have quote unquote symptoms necessarily. It's just the trauma responses. We might notice that we're fighting more, or trying to run away from something, or busy, or whose problem can I solve besides mine, or I've got to deal with this family drama, whatever, or fun, and then finally just freeze. So I found my best healing. And so if I decide, fuck freeze mode, I'm going to just do stuff all day, I'm guarantee you I will probably get physically sick, so that I will end up on the sofa or something. I might have an accident that will make me get on the sofa. So I learned a long time ago that I want to honor the work that, just like I want to honor my physical immune system. It's like if I woke up and had the flu, but I said, you know what, I really don't have time for you to fight off this flu, I'll die. And same. So I look at the trauma responses as the same way. So for me, I look at it twofold. One is that, and I will say CPTSD kids, it's just part of what we have. It's just part of our limitations. It's just, we have these things and we're not alone. I mean, we're just the CPTSD kids that acknowledge it. Like, we're not alone. So everybody's got something. Yeah. So what do I want to say next? So what I do is I try to honor it. And that's one of the reasons why bingo came into the picture for me, is that when you say that I want to, how do I get up my energy? Definitely put more shit in your life that you love, which is just automatically going to increase your energy. There's a really great book called Joyful by Ingrid Fattel Lee. It's written by a designer, and she researched things in our life that give us joy, like things that just make us have an experience of joy, like confetti or magic wands or whatever, and just like harmony and magic and abundance. So for me, that's a secret way that I've given myself to increase my energy, is surround myself with things that I love. And so when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to work for it. It's just there, just, helping me in ways that I wouldn't normally it's helping me unconsciously. So for me, and so if you like to dance, I would definitely suggest dancing. I would definitely suggest, and maybe that's what you do once a day. It's just like you play your most favorite song or whatever the most popular song and just fucking dance. And then I would give yourself a bingo sticker for that because that takes energy. One of the things about for me for having freeze mode is every single thing in the world that is even self-care that I would like is still effort for me. So even if you said take a walk, that'll increase your energy. It's like I don't have the energy I don't feel like I have the energy to take a walk. I don't feel like I have the energy to dance, even though I also love to dance. You know, I also love music, but it's like I don't. It's like it takes effort. Journal, ugh, like it takes effort and energy, and so anything that I can do that that I get for free, that's easy for me, I am going to do that. So this is an exploration of tools, exploration of like, did that increase my energy? Like, let's say dance to one song, like just open the Spotify, go for it. Just dance to one song. And then you can say, here's what I would do. Rate yourself before, what's my happiness? What's my energy level? Fucking dance, like shake your ass. Like there is no tomorrow. And then rate it again and see what you get. And then you can see, okay, well, that was worth the effort. So should I allow myself to embrace the freeze mode or do I fight it? In my experience, when I fight it, things don't go well for me. Things just will not go well for me if I fight it. So I have put things in my life that will help me do the things that I will get done. Also, which is kind of neat, you're hearing a lot of blowback from hustle culture and get shit done culture and all that. So that's at least nice. But here's what I do is when I'm feeling fine, like I feel like I could, conquer anything, I still make sure that I give myself time to freeze a little bit every day. Like I allow myself to shut this shit down and zone out, check out every day. And that has helped me. That has helped me immensely. I really like the idea of dosing my trauma responses. Because remember, they're there for a reason. They're there to actually help us. And what I have found, and this is woo-woo situation, like this is for me, some of the magic in it. It seems like when my psyche sees like, oh, actually she is working to heal us. She is taking time out. She is doing self-care. Okay, we'll back off. We won't shut her down. Like the brain would say, okay, I see she is going to go ahead and inhale, so we don't have to make her faint. Like we see that she's doing that, so we'll hold off. I am in a place where I'm proud of my trauma responses. I don't give a fuck that I have them. And so I mean, I feel like I feel like the work that we're doing is like the art of wielding our trauma responses. Like I've been thinking of adding this to the Bitchifesto. Advanced bitches wield their trauma responses like a lightsaber. Like that they can actually in the end be the thing that it's not bad that we have them. It's awesome that we have them and that they're not hurting us anymore. That we can just acknowledge how they've helped us. So for me, it is about, I have to honor my trauma responses. I have to, or again, it's not going to go well for me. And that's from just experience. It's like ignoring them and then it doesn't go well. Okay. So you asked me that question. Was that helpful?
Hi. Yeah.
Hey.
Hi. It was very helpful. I actually wrote some notes down for what I can do next time that happens. And I think what really happened was that was this Wednesday when I had the freeze response. The day before on Tuesday, I woke up, I was like, this is how my day is going to go. And then all these things got thrown into my plans, and I ended up having to do things for other people all day Tuesday.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
my husband was like, can you take the car and do this? My son came home from school early, and then I had to go take him for a COVID test because he was faking a headache. So my whole day just went out the window, and I had to just focus on everybody else. So I think when Wednesday came around, it was just like, oh my God, like I just need time to just sort of like recompose myself and like get back
Totally.
on track, maybe.
Totally.
Yeah. But then I
Oh,
feel guilty because we are moving, and in this move that we're doing, there's not really like a set timeline. It's just sort of like, you're moving, here you go, here's all your stuff, start packing, and there's no like structure. So I'm just sort of like looking at all my stuff in my house, like, okay, I guess I need to start packing things, and
yeah.
overwhelmed with that, like don't know where to start a little
Oh,
bit.
so I'm overwhelmed for you.
Yeah.
Moving is a
So it
nightmare.
was, yeah. So Wednesday, it was just like a combination of all that stuff, I think, on Wednesday. And I was just like, oh my God, like I just need to do nothing today. But then I feel guilty about it.
Yes, and that's what we work on is the guilt.
Mhm.
And and I'm now thinking, just even listening to you, that there's that big post-event collapse syndrome that we talk about after something really hard. But for us, sometimes just things like taking our kid to get a COVID test, that's hard. And
Mhm.
so we might have to have a little dip after that.
Right.
And just more noticing more um yeah. Okay. The packing, here's two things about the packing is number one, at whatever date you will not be in that house anymore, you will be somewhere else at whatever date it's coming, whether you like it or not. Like this is what I say to myself. And knowing myself, every other time I have gotten it done. Like
Mhm.
just from my experience, like every time there was a time to move, I have gotten it done. So that was going to be the other thing that I say is trust, is that I've had to learn, it's not an instant thing, is to learn to trust um, my trauma responses. Because some days I can tell, oh, I have to do these things for other people. So I know that I'm going to have some downtime. But then there's some days I wake up and I'm like, I can't do anything. Like it's just all gone. There's nothing in me. I'm not interested in anything. And that's for me when the trust comes in. It's like, okay, Elizabeth, the freeze mode has taken over. And I just have to trust that it will actually lift if I allow myself to get into it. So I would definitely play moving bingo, boxes, a sticker for every box.
Ooh, I
And
like that.
also think about talk about first class life. Let's upgrade this shit. Like there's people on apps right now that will come over and pack your shit.
Yes.
Seriously, even they won't pack it the way you want, but they will do it. And so whatever hacks that we can use to make shit easier because we're freeze mode people. And as far as the guilt part, the if you held your breath and fainted and then woke up after the faint, would you have felt guilty for fainting?
No.
Right, because your brain was trying to save your butt.
Yeah.
That your brain was like, I did that. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but it's so the freeze response is there to save you,
Yeah.
and it is actually serving a purpose.
Yeah.
And so remember, these are trauma responses. Why do we have the responses? Because the trauma has happened, and not just trauma in the past. We live this stuff every day because the trauma lives in our psyche.
Mhm.
And so, but that takes work, not feeling guilty about it. So, and that's another thing. Just when you do your trauma responses and start to, like I said, I dose myself with them, that I will give myself an extra sticker for not feeling guilty about it,
Mhm.
and like I said, I'm proud. It's like, yes, ma'am, on the sofa. Yes, ma'am. Because I know
Yes,
I'm taking care of myself. So I hope that was helpful.
it has. It's helped me a lot. Thank you. I got a lot of ideas. So thank you so
Awesome,
much.
awesome, awesome. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Okay, here is a question from E. I spent most of my 20s, which we can all relate to this. I spent most of my 20s, now 30, trying to find myself as a CPTSD kid. I studied English in college because I knew it was the only major I could study without wanting to give up 4 years before the 4 years ended. That's fucking brilliant. Um, I was considered low income by the government. Like, da, 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 da. Um, After the 4 years, I was lost as soon as I left campus. I never partied hard in college, but I started afterwards. I surrounded myself with all the wrong people. Not only did I surround myself with them, but I gave some some of them very intimate access, and they were some there. She had some abusive relationships. She's also talking about imposter syndrome and how it's just right there, doesn't seem to budge, even though she's has these accomplishments. She says, I feel like a big fat liar and failure who should probably rethink her career goals again. Language and communication have always been my gifts. I don't feel as lost as I once did, but I still feel outside of myself. I have healed a great deal. Um, what I feel haunts me, however, is the loss of constant confidence and the headstrong young woman I was before I left school. I know that I am still this woman today, but I feel like she's been buried alive. Well, I always feel this way. Do you want to talk to me? Are you here right now?
I'm actually crying right now.
Oh, sweetheart!
It's okay. It's okay.
Hug,
Thank you.
sweetheart.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what the tears are about?
I guess probably having my voice read aloud by someone else.
I hope I treated the words nicely.
You did. Thank you so
Good,
much.
good.
I would turn my camera on, but I
No,
am
don't.
not
You don't
prepared
need
for
to.
that.
Nope.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay, so this is advanced work you did about college, like super advanced. The fact that you're like, how do I know I won't quit, is to use your strength, which is a super advanced idea and problem solving, and it's incredible. I didn't read that part, but you said that you didn't finish in 4 years. You can just leave that off, because there's a lot of people that couldn't do what you did, especially CPTSD kids. Like they can't. Okay, so here's the deal. All right, so one time I was telling my therapist, like, oh my God, like everything's so good. Like I feel like a unicorn. And she just says, well, if you feel like a unicorn, she goes, this is great news, because if you feel like a unicorn, you can feel like a unicorn again. I was like, so that means, and I wrote or did something recently that mentioned that, but if you've achieved something, you can achieve it again. Like that's just a given. That's not even something that you'll have to work for. That shit is already in you. And so what's making me think is that you felt like you were confident, and let's see, the confident, headstrong young woman I was before I left school. Well, one of the reasons if you were like that in school, that to me, what comes up for me is like, oh, that must have meant that structure was very helpful to you. The structure of that. I mean, I could be in school every day for the rest of my life, because I'm not only good at it, but it's just helpful to me. Like, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I'm so excited, because I don't know how to do anything else. I don't know how to live. So if you give me a syllabus, bitch, I will do that, and then everything's going to be okay. So that's one thing that comes up for me is structure. And again, bingo or something like that we can put structure in our lives. Now we can create that for ourselves, and you can think back to what was the most helpful structure. Like maybe you need, instead of bingo, you actually do need a syllabus, for this quarter. And okay, so about the imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is just another name for CPTSD kid. Imposter syndrome is another name for CPTSD kid. If you have imposter syndrome, if Elizabeth says, I have imposter syndrome, I might as well say, I have CPTSD. Because if you remember, part of CPTSD is that we're not allowed to have a self. And so if we can't have a self, we can't have self-esteem, self-confidence, self-knowledge. We can't have any of that because it's a betrayal to the family system. And so of course we feel like fucking imposters. Of course, because we grow up and we start to do these things and they don't stick to us. Like, oh, I have a degree, but it doesn't stick to me. I had a successful relationship. It doesn't stick to me. Like, none of my accomplishments stick to me because I have imposter syndrome, AKA I have CPTSD, AKA I don't have a self. So for me, the cure to CPTSD is to have a self. And for me, that is the work. I recommend, if you haven't taken it, the class that I have on trauma-induced negative thinking, because I kind of explain more of the theory about where these thoughts come from and why they exist. Like, I hate myself or something, or I'm not worthy or whatever. That it's not about hating myself or not having worthy. It's about having CPTSD, and it's the trauma voice. The trauma voice is the voice that's saying we're not allowed to own our accomplishments, and one of the reasons we know it's trauma is because evidence doesn't matter. Like, you have a degree, that's incredible. Like, most of us can't. Okay, so was that helpful? And do you have anything else that
I think
I could
it
speak to?
was. I smiled several times, and I definitely relate with and have already identified that just the structure of it was really what fell away and what released me. And just, I had no idea what to do with myself after that point. Literally no idea. Even though I had all these like dreams and aspirations, it kind of just all went black.
Absolutely. So, what do you think about the idea of making a syllabus for yourself?
I thought that was actually a pretty clever idea. I'd have to put some thought into it. But
so here's what I would like: have the you 5 years from now. So whatever life that you want to be living 5 years from now, have her give you the syllabus.
Got it.
Baby steps, because she's smart and she's very wise. And so she will know not to give you too much to do. I want the future you to be in full acknowledgement. And this isn't, I'm not talking about like goals or, not hustle culture, but what would actually work. And it might be helpful just to do 1 month for it to kind of truly resonate as a syllabus. You could do 3 months, but yeah. And let's just say it's your fairy godmother writing the syllabus.
I'll do it.
I love it. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being so brave to ask a question.
Thank you.
Hey, how's your imposter syndrome right now?
Well, I got an email this morning that confirmed, I'd already really suspected, but it confirmed that I was waitlisted for my graduate school program. So it's a little high at the moment, but at the same time, they obviously saw something that they liked to put me on that wait list. And the program is very competitive. So 30 years old, they're all 20. So, they've had a little more skin in the game for a minute. I just went back and was like, I'm going to do this.
I'm so proud of you. That's incredible. For a little while, we do have to lean on, as we're healing, lean on external support. But to enjoy it all, we have to heal. And so, I remember like, I'm so stupid. I'm, what a dummy, what a dum-dum, what am I going to do? And a bunch of my family are nurses. And so I thought that was this thing I was supposed to do. And I was like, well, I'm not smart enough for that. And then I went to, somehow I was in a clinic or something, and there was a real dum-dum with an RN. And I'm like, I think I can do this. I think I could like have an outsert. Like she is like, if she can do that, I can do it. And again, that probably is shitty because I have a question about how to stop judging people. And clearly I was judging this woman. But yeah, if you're waitlisted, that says something. And so we'll just lean on it. But it won't, unless there's healing involved, your trauma voice will belittle that and make it go away. So, but if you were to say, just from listening to me read your question, listening to me answer your question, having us talk, what was your imposter syndrome on a scale of 1 to 10 before that?
It was probably about an 8, I'd say.
Okay, and what is it now?
Definitely more like a 4 or a 5. But
Okay.
let's go with 4. I said 4 first. So
Beautiful. So I just want you to notice that. So right now you can say, I live between a 4 and an 8. And P.S., an 8 is incredible. And there was one time I'm sure it was a 10. 8 is badass. And so you can chart between 4 and 8. And again, that might be something that you keep track of. And on your bingo card, where's my imposter syndrome? But yeah, I do think I need a full class on imposter syndrome. I really need to like get some really good tools around that. But I just want you to notice how it moved. And then after this is done, it might go straight back up to 8, but that'll be okay because you have been at a 4. And if you can be at a 4, you can be at a 4 again. Wink. Good job.
I will let you know how the syllabus goes. I'll send
Yes!
you a DM.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. We would love to see it. So if you can DM it or whatever, take a picture of it. You don't have to use your name or whatever, but all of us love to see this shit working in other people's lives because it helps us. So that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited. And actually I might be a little jealous. I would love a syllabus. Somebody give me a syllabus. Thank you. Thank you for asking. It was an immense pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for all you do.
Oh my God, you're so welcome. Okay, so AD is asking the next question. Oh, no. Sorry. At the top, SW. And how do we heal resentment? Specifically toward our partner when it comes to things like addictions, smoking, and feeling like things are uneven as far as parenting goes. For example, he never gets up with the kids at night and never has. Are you here? Do you want to talk to me? Okay. Healing resentment is, again, another class, a full-blown, like, talk about a syllabus. I'd love to have a syllabus, but I'm just going to answer this in generalities and I'm going to introduce a tool. So when we have someone in our life that is doing stuff that we don't like, I'm going to change tools since you're not here. I really like the tool Price of Admission and the Ladder of Trust. The Ladder of Trust, I won't take much time on it. I have a YouTube series on the Ladder of Trust, and that is a tool. And in a nutshell, it's if we're on a ladder with somebody else and we want their behavior to be different on a higher rung than it actually is, then that's our pain. And so, and that's what resentment is. Resentment is wanting something or someone to be different than it is. And so one of the reasons and I'm not allowed a resentment. I'm in recovery. So resentment, it means I'm on the clock, ready to use if I have a resentment. So I have to get rid of those immediately. But it's coming to terms and so the other tool along with the Ladder of Trust, again, that's a whole YouTube series. If you're interested, is Price of Admission. So Price of Admission, this is a Dan Savageism. I adore Dan Savage. And he says, the price of admission, we pay a price of admission to be with a person. We have chosen to be with a person. And if I have chosen a person who smokes, then the price of admission to being in this relationship with a smoker is that's the price. But I don't get to complain about it because the person smokes. Most likely a smoker smoked before we got married. Or I don't know if you're married, but like smoking just doesn't usually appear out of the blue. So it usually starts early. So that person was a smoker already. And adults get to do what they want. Adults get to smoke if they want to. We're not allowed to tell people what to do. It's annoying when they live with us. So if I was with a smoker, and also it seemed, I'm assuming that you've mentioned it and you don't like it. And so the person is telling you with the behavior, they're actually not interested in stop smoking. So if my husband started smoking and I adore him and I love him and I want to be with him and he's going to keep smoking, I have to make a deal. I refuse to have resentment. So I have to make a deal with myself that the price of admission to being with him is smoking. And if I can't pay that price, I have to leave. Because now I can also solve the problems. Do I say, okay, you smoke till your heart's content, smoke like you're a chimney, go for it. But please don't do it in the house. Please don't kiss me with that mouth until it's been brushed. Please, I can set my boundaries around that because I still want him. One of the things Dan Savage says is like, there is no perfect relationship. Like, so we're looking for the one. And what we have to do is there is no the one. There is like a 0.79 that we round up to one, or a 0.89 that we round up to one, or a 0.99 that we round up to one. And so if my husband smoked, I mean, he's so fucking awesome in so many ways. I would try to figure it out. Like I would really want to stay with him because I fucking adore him. So I might try to jump through all the boundaries to see if it would work, but there may come a day where I can't do it, but I don't know if that day will come. So for me, I try to keep myself really clear and clean and sober about what I think other people should be doing. So the big question is how to heal resentment. But I have never found a way to truly explain how to heal resentment in the global sense, but I do know how to dig into specifics like smoking. And same thing with helping with the kids. It's just like, hey, here, I noticed that, you don't get up with the kids. Could you please get up tonight? And sure, or no. Okay, all right, well, now I have to decide if I still want to do this with this person who's not willing to do that. But then I have to look at myself. Did I ask? Do I ask? Do I ask, or do I have attitude when I do it? Or you know what I mean? So it's just, I have to work on my codependency first, really, before I can, but yeah, adults get to do, if adults don't want to get up with the kids in the middle of the night, they get to have that choice now. And so they get to make adults get to make their choices, and then I get to make my choices. So I hope that's helpful. Definitely recommend the Ladder of Trust. And again, my thing is like, let me get as clean as I can be and clear as I can be using all my tools. And then I can make a decision about what the next right thing is to do. Okay, now, KS. She has a mystery condition for 2 years, and she has been really hurt by the way that her family has been treating her about it. Are you here, KS? Okay. Let's see. What is the big question from here? I think what I'll talk about is she says the mom is a narcissist, and they've texted mean and abusive things, and that she, her mom is doing this thing where she's just treating all the kids the same, even though they act differently. So she's upset that she's being lumped in with her other siblings, even though she's different, and she tries to explain to the mom. I've tried to set boundaries with my mom and express my hurt over being lumped in the same category as my sisters, but it continues. I'm beginning to think she won't stop no matter how many times I've complained about that I am not my sisters and I'm different. So it's time to take ownership of what I have control of over, which is my reactions. Thanks for your advice. Okay. You already got it. Like you already got it in the end. Like that is it. And I've been thinking another thing that we're not allowed to have in recovery are expectations. And so I am really realizing very clearly the intersection of expectations and resentment. And again, this is another opportunity to throw the ladder of trust at this. And the mother is showing with her behavior that she is going to lump them in. So here is where I want my mother to be. Please don't lump me in with the other siblings. And the mother's like, I'm going to keep lumping you in with the other siblings. No, but I don't want you to lump me in with the other siblings. And yet I still continue to lump you in with the other siblings. So at some point, like you said in the end, I have to like, oh shit, well, I guess she's going to lump me in with my other siblings. And now I get to be on the same rung as her. And now my expectations from her will disappear. And therefore my resentments will disappear. Doesn't mean that you might not have to grieve this and this might not be devastating work. And P.S. to every answer to every question is therapy and 12-step meetings. Like that's also my answer to everything. Every single question, it could be an ACOA meeting or an Al-Anon meeting for sure, because these are relationship issues. ACOA is Adult Children of Alcoholics, and they have meetings online, and Al-Anon too. And even if your parents aren't alcoholics or there's no alcoholic or whatever in the family, it could still be very helpful. I think any of us working those 12 steps will bring us closer to a little bit more clarity and peace and understanding. And there's tools, and it's crazy to me. Like, and I'm speaking as an addict, like they're free. This is a free program. You know, yes, they want a donation just to help keep it going, but it's free. And it could change our lives. Like it could actually help us every single day with our relationships. So, and obviously therapy for CPTSD kids. Let's see. Okay, is AD here?
I think that might be me.
Yes, it is. Do you want me to read your question or do you want to ask me directly?
You can read it. I think
Okay.
I thought it was pretty thorough.
Yes. Okay. I want to just first of all honor you for saying something hard and vulnerable. So, and I feel very honored, and we all feel very honored that you're sharing these things. Okay. My question is, what advice might you have for someone who is struggling with a worsening eating disorder or other mental health struggles? During ongoing isolation due to quarantine, I work so hard at recovery and I'm feeling tortured almost nonstop by my eating disorder. Thought, oh my gosh, yes. And I'm losing hope as there is no end in sight, no concrete hope for a return to normal work life for me. We feel you. I work from home and spend almost all of my time and in-person treatment is not available. I want to believe the magic is still possible for me and I'm struggling to see it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so have you been to any 12-step recovery meetings?
No, but I really like it when you talk about the ones that you've attended, and I've been kind of wondering if they're like inclusive of people, like regardless of your diagnosis, I guess.
Beautiful. Guess what? They have these 12 steps, and they also have these 12 traditions. And one of the 12 traditions is a desire to, and one of the criteria for membership is a desire to stop eating compulsively. Bitch, you have a chair in that room with your name on it. And so do I. If you want to DM me privately, because part of the 12 steps is anonymity. So I'm not supposed to say which ones that I go to, although I may have slipped in the past in perfection practice. If you want to DM me, please do, or email me. That'll actually be better if you email me, and I can tell you what I do. But let me tell you something. I have when I first got into recovery for my eating disorder, and again, eating just, it doesn't need to be a, a classic one of the, eating disorders, but just that eating is disordered and the food thoughts are problematic. I used to belong to this, when I first got clean, it was in Atlanta, and they had an incredible their program, there's 12-step programs for food issues, like, was incredible. And then I started moving into these small towns where that wasn't the case. And I've always kind of kind of missed it. Well, surprise, surprise, online, there's fucking recovery. There is fucking recovery. I am blown away. Again, there might be some duds, but one of the things they say is and this is what I recommend, go to 6 different meetings and see which one, see if they resonate for you. The other recommendation I have is a book that has really helped me a lot, is a book called Brain Over Binge. Have you heard of that book?
I've heard you mention it before or seen it.
I really like it, and you can listen to it, so that won't take effort. So you just download it on Audible or whatever. But yeah, maybe I'll do a Q&A specifically for eating issues, where we can kind of dig in and talk about it, and I can tell you how I think about these things. But I think you'll find that book extremely helpful. And so that's what I would do at first, is, and that you are not alone. And this is hard shit. And the addiction wants to win. The addiction wants to win, and it wants us. And, but that's the beautiful thing about personal growth work, is that we do the work and we let go of the outcome. And so it's okay that it feels like it won't be for you. I spent most of my life thinking that it wasn't going to be for me, whatever, the brokenest bitch you ever want to meet. And I don't have a perfect track record, but I'm mostly free. And that's what I'm finding is the most important as part of addiction recovery, is the freedom. Happiness, fine, whatever, but the freedom, because the thoughts would just plague me all the time. It's just constant and forever. So, and also you need the medicine, the psyche is trying to help you with self-medicating. And so the answer to that is more empathy, more self-compassion, more gentleness. I mean, you're having a hard time, And so, but I think you'd find those rooms and for anybody else that wanted to go to online, and also any of the addictions, there's all kind of shit online that you would not believe. So many people doing advanced personal growth work, that you can go, you don't have to speak. They might say, are there any newcomers? You don't have to say anything. You can just listen, and everybody in there knows and is compassionate about how scary it is when you go for the first time. So, how was that?
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, good. Do you have some action steps in mind? Well, a couple of threads to follow?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, good work. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. Okay. All righty. Now, EM. Let's see. I've recently had a conversation. Actually, EM, are you here? Do you want to talk to me? Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Is that me?
Elle?
Is it?
Yes.
Elle?
Hi.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. Hi.
Sorry. I'm still, trying to keep everybody safe.
I know, I appreciate it.
Okay. So do you want to just ask me, or do you want me to read your question?
I feel like I'll just get emotional, so it's probably better if you just read it.
I got you. Okay, here we go. I recently had a conversation with my father about childhood. I started off saying I forgave him for how I remember him as being very angry and physically abusive person, and he apologized. This is a big deal. I'm 39, and we had a family therapy from when I was 8 to 18, and he never apologized. Amazing. Okay. Then he told me he was also sorry that he was so absent when I was a little kid. Apparently he was at work so much that I, at age 4, this is the sweetest thing I've ever heard, asked my mother if we were getting a new dad because this one never came home. Sweet. After that, he took a job with less travel. But clearly, we never became close, even after my mother's death. I did not remember this, but now I see that my relationship issues don't fully stem from my anger issues, but instead that this was a cover for emotional insecurity and love scarcity. What can I do to stop keeping men at arm's length and never fully committing to anyone? What work do you recommend when the underlying trauma finally gets revealed and you find out all your fight responses is not really the issue? So all the deep breaths in the world aren't going to help. This is amazing. Same. Oh, I know why you're here. All the deep breaths in the world aren't going to help me. Yes, yes. So good. So good. Oh my God. I love you so much. Okay. So I finding out different things about my childhood as I go along. It is interesting to me, and it is kind of like oh my God, like they're really huge. What I would say here is that this is both and. I think this is a both and situation. I think that there was, so how I would say it is like there was abuse and meanness, and maybe not meanness, I don't want to put words in your mouth, very angry and physically abusive. There's that. And then also kind of an abandonment, so it seems like you were very clear about the other stuff, but you didn't really realize until now about this kind of abandonment piece. And it really clicked for you, like, oh, I would not, for me, I wouldn't say it's like, oh, it's not that from these years, it's that from these years. I would say it's all of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 Does that resonate?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. It felt, I mean, for most of my life, I've been very much like, if a guy even like starts to disrespect me at any second, I'm immediately like, put up my dukes. Like, there's any hint of abuse, I'm immediately out of there. I'm yelling, I'm screaming, I'm very, like, I understand that that's very terrifying for a lot of men, especially now that anybody that lives on the West Coast, I'm from New York, especially since I moved to the West Coast, I've terrified men because I just will not put up with anything. But now that I'm kind of realizing this other part, it's just, I find that the men that I do have relationships with are either very emotionally distant in person, or I do pick people that are physically distant from me, like men that are in the military or men that live in a different state, because then I only have to see them once a month or something like that. And like, then it can be fine. And it's very distant. Yeah. And I also recently had I had a dog that I had rescued 10 years ago that I had rehabbed, and she's very dog aggressive. And I just kind of put everything into her for 10 years and used all of my fawning on this dog that's just not there anymore. And all of a sudden I'm realizing like, there's nothing to fawn over. There's nothing to really like to do with all of my time. So I'm just really realizing how empty these other relationships have been. They don't have the dog to fill that void. That makes sense.
Yes. When did your doggy die?
Last Wednesday we had to put her down.
We're all just sitting here with you, loving you.
Thank you. And I feel like it was extra hard too, because it was a dog that my mother picked out for me at the pound, not really knowing that the dog was sort of psychotic. And then my dog and my mother both died of undiagnosed cancer pretty quickly. And so there was just kind of reliving that trauma as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, you're in full-blown grief, P.S. You're in full-blown grief. And one of the things I say about grief is that, let's say we're all like, we're working, doing our advanced personal growth work, we're, doing amazing, we're healing our CPTSD, and then grief come, and so whatever it is, it's like, oh, let me work on resentments, let me work on this or that. When grief comes, that now becomes our advanced personal growth work. So you're in full blown grief. And do you happen to have my book?
I do not.
Okay,
I have ordered it, but it has yet.
Email me, and I'm going to send you a copy of my book.
Okay.
And so the title of it is the Irreverent Grief Guide: How to Fucking Survive Months 1 through 3. And so we're going to see if we can try to get you through months 1 through 3, at least. So grief is the thing. Let me tell you about, let me answer the question about men, is that, of course, and I'm telling you, healing your CPTSD is the answer. It's the answer. And so you want to learn and read about that, keep learning your advanced personal growth work tools, and also basically live in Codependent No More book. Like, just like, these are the things that have to happen. And I'm telling, and also you could go to like a 12-step meeting about, like, the ACOA might be a good place, but maybe not right now. So what I want to tell you is, I'm just trying to give you, just put deep back in your psyche. You will fix this. You are going to heal this, and you will be able to have the love in your life. And I just bow down and love that you're like, oh, it's so interesting, I have a long distance relationship. yes. A lot of us have things like that. But remember, it's always to stay safe. It's always to stay safe. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm going to talk about your dog. What was your dog's name?
Her name was Ava, like after Ava Gardner. I thought that she was a pit bull Rhodesian Ridgeback mix, about 100 pounds. I thought giving her a really girly name would make her a little bit more ladylike.
Yes, ma'am.
But then I kind of forgot that Ava Gardner once whacked Frank Sinatra against the head with a frying pan. And so then I realized that maybe that wasn't the best role model for her. We just had two sort of like very aggressive female energy living in this house together. And we just, she herself scared off a lot of men because she was a lot to handle.
And of course you would get a dog that, yes. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, literal men telling me that I should give up the dog because they weren't going to be able to live in the same house as her. Yeah.
And it's like, well, the price of admission to live with me is to love Ava.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Here's the thing I want to say is I had a dog named Jewel, and she was amazing, and I loved her so much. And I thought she was just another dog that I loved. I've had dogs throughout childhood, and, I have Amelie now, but she died at 14. That bitch did not want to leave me. Like, she died of fucking old age. Like, she did not want to go, and after she died, and I was CPTSD pretty healthy person, I was in recovery, but that death took me down. And it wasn't until a few therapy sessions later to realize how freeze mode has taken me over. That for one, my therapist called Jewel, like, we have dogs, and then there's the dog of dogs.
Right.
And for me, Jewel was the dog of dogs. And what I learned was that after she died is that there's something really special about the animals that are with us while we do our trauma work.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's harder than just my dog died. It's so much more complex than my dog died. It is huge. And that unconditional love and her badass protector ass, like, oh my God. Are you in a place, I could not get a dog for 3 years and that was healthy for me. Are you a person that's going to have to wait?
I had thought that, so my dog trainer, because obviously she's a big crazy dog, my dog trainer, his immediate response was, you have to get another dog immediately. It should be the same breed and I will help you pick it out. I stupidly or smartly did a foster dog situation last weekend. I picked up a dog that was coming up from, I live in Oregon, and it was coming up from a high kill shelter in California. I got up at 3 a.m. to go pick up the dog. I lasted about 24 hours with that dog, and I was just like, it's too much for me. And so it went to its next adoptive foster. So I'm glad I tested it out. I don't think I can handle that much right now.
No. And I want you to trust your gut. Your gut knows. Yeah. Like I truly had to wait. And I even 3 years later, I felt guilty about having a dog. I felt guilty having Amelie. And that's when, I really got clear. Oh, there's a dog. And then there's the dog of dogs. And I, obviously I love Amelie so much, but I had to give myself some time to heal from that. So definitely trust your gut. For some people, it's right away. Like when that happens to my husband and one of his cats die, like it's immediately the next day we got to go get one, And so, but for me, I'm like, I need a pause. And I if I had gotten one right away, I would have hated it because it wasn't Jewel.
Right. Right.
So I didn't want to do that to another dog and I didn't want to do that to me either. But for me, that time for me was honoring the relationship and honoring what it did, but it's also very lonely. So I'm wondering, do you already have some self-care tools around like her things or whatever? Like so this is the dumbest thing you've ever heard. Like Jewel is an Irish setter and oh my God, the funniest. She's so fucking funny. Okay, when she died, I'm like, so she was red, but she had this little white spot right here. And that's one of the reasons, like secretly she was named after the singer, but I told everybody because I didn't want to be embarrassed, that I named her after the jewel that was on her chest, little white jewel. And so when she died, I'm like, I need to clip that hair. And, and I put it in a little fairy dust bottle and it's in my bedside table. But I'm like, why would I choose the white hair? She was red dog. But in your grief, you don't know things but I'm just telling you that for an example of, one of the things Harry Potter was a book that totally resonated with me. And again, was something that helped me heal my trauma. And so I can't handle cheesy shit. So I can't do the Rainbow Bridge poem. Like I can't. But what I can do is know that I'm going to meet Jewel at 9 3/4 when this whole thing is done. Like she will be meeting me there. And so I'm just wondering if there's things like that you can put in your life or to comfort you in this time. So I know this took a different direction than what you thought, but truly.
It makes a lot of sense because I think it does. It also because it shines a light on other parts too. At this moment, I haven't changed anything in the house. Like her food bowls still where they are. They're still where they are.
Yes.
Everything is just the same.
Yes.
And so there's that aspect.
Of course.
But it did shine a light that, when my mom died, I thought that I was with a very emotionally secure man. I thought that I had chosen correctly, and he actually broke up with me a week after my mom died because he said I was being too emotional And we worked together, and he changed his mind 2 days later because he felt bad. And I stupidly did take him back because I was very lonely. And
Of
then
course.
this time, right. And then this time I know that I'm dating a man that is not very emotional. We've been together for 2 years and we have not exchanged I love yous. He's very much an active service. He's not a bad person. He's just not the person. But I didn't even invite him to her euthanasia celebration of life party. I only invited like my girlfriends. I didn't even bother to tell him that we were having it. And so it just shone a light that I feel like I don't trust, I just don't trust men to be involved in any part of my life or recovery or grief process.
Yes. And you will. Now no. He ladder of trust, he's shown you he'll do the best that he could do. I really also like, you're so emotional. It's like, that's another way of saying, oh, you're so human. You're so human. And these people who are with us, we're so fucking deep, and they're with us and they're like, they'll shame us for being too emotional or whatever. And it's just like, that's why you picked me, bitch. That's why you picked me, bitch. Because I'm emotional. Because you are a dead rock in there. And you wanted somebody who had some light. Don't pick a bitch that's emotional if you don't want to be, and don't shame me for shit that you benefit from. Sorry, I don't mean to disparage him.
No. But, it's true. It's very true.
Oh God. Okay. So email me with your name and address, and I'm going to send you my book. And in there, I talk about like, just real quick about the bowls and all that, like trust. If they're supposed to be there, they're supposed to be there. If it's time to put them away, it's time to put them away. If it's time to give them away, it's time to give them away. We're all different. We all process grief differently. And the symbols around the person, we treat that differently. So some people try to get rid of stuff right away. Some people keep it forever. I just want you to trust your gut on that. And bad news, things are not going to be going well for you for the next 6 months, because functioning, when you first grieve, it goes down. And how long ago did your mom die?
She died a while ago. She died in 2013.
Okay. So but you're right. This is all together, because when we grieve one loss, we grieve them all. So
yeah, and it does feel like it feels like I never had that chance to grieve my mom, because like my boyfriend's saying I'm too emotional. I just stopped talking about it.
Yes.
And I had to plan the entire funeral myself because my dad was so grief stricken. And then also, so many layers to that, but also like the dog was the thing that my mom picked this dog out for me.
Yes. Oh, exactly. I forgot about that link. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just, yeah. I was like, I lost like a lot.
You absolutely did. You absolutely did. And you absolutely have. Thank you so much for being here with us and letting us know about Ava. God bless Ava. Sweet little frying pan, protector, sweet baby. And also badass.
Yeah.
Was that helpful? Is there anything else?
It really was. Thank you so much for just listening. It was really helpful, and having 30 people listen and seeing your reactions. That was very helpful for me, because I haven't said any of this out loud.
Yes. And all of us here, we're like, more emotion, more, give it to us. Like, we'll take it. We want it all. We love it because it's fucking real. So thank you, Elle.
Thank you, guys.
Oh my goodness, this is so cool. Okie dokie. I don't think she is going to be here. Oh, I think I addressed this. It was a question about freezing. And so that's a very common thing for us, about feeling guilty about freezing. And am I always going to be like this? And what I can tell you is that in my experience, the amount of time I have to freeze because I give myself time to freeze and I help myself through my life, it's less. And so in the end, and at first it seems too much. Because now, I mean, I've been doing this shit for so long, I mean, there was my son, he was grown, like he went to the military and he was stationed overseas, and I like couldn't move for like 3 or 4 weeks. Like he had already moved out. Like why have what's happening to me? Like, it just seems so crazy. But there were some underlying things around there that I didn't, that therapy helped me realize why it was harder than just your child growing up. It was definitely not an empty nest situation. So there have been times where I spent a full Olympics on the sofa, like a full Olympics. I can remember I was like, thank God for content during this time. And that song, dun, 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 every time, like, oh yes, this is what I need. But now if that same thing happened now, I wouldn't need as much time. Like I might just watch the gymnastics or the whatever's track and field. Okay. So next question. I seem to be ping pong. This is KC. I seem to be ping ponging between all 4 trauma responses. I know my least common is fight, but the other 3 seem to be about equal. Is this typical or am I lacking self-awareness? You're definitely not lacking self-awareness. For background, I have officially been diagnosed bipolar, GAD, CPTSD, which feel accurate. I am now wondering about codependency, confused because I meet some of the criteria, but definitely not all. Her 12-year-old daughter is playing bingo with us. Oh, that's so cute. And helps her with her free time. Oh, sweet girl. Are you here, KC? Okie dokie. Oh, I have 2 KCs in a row. Okay. If that wasn't your question, there's another KC, which will be next, but you'll hear your question, so you'll know it's you if you're here. Okay. We need to keep it simple. CPTSD kids need to keep it simple. I need to keep it simple. And so for me, all things come from CPTSD. All things come from being a CPTSD kid. CPTSD kid is the foundation to all this shit. So CPTSD, addiction, CPTSD, codependency, CPTSD, other things. But for me, at the root of it all is the CPTSD. And what's so great about the psyche is that I picture it sometimes like this vast space with a lot of doors. And so it doesn't matter which door we walk in. That's why, like, when I have a therapy session for me, or if I have a client, the client comes in and wants to talk to me about the weather, I bow down. We will get somewhere. We will get to actually, PS, it's never happened. So my sessions are not superficial, but let's say that was the case. We can talk about a tree. We can talk about a kid. We can talk about childhood. We can talk about the weather. We can talk about college. We can talk about their relationship. It doesn't matter what we talk about in the session, because if we walk through the codependency door, whatever tools we learn in the codependency door can also be applied to the trauma response door and the freeze mode door and this door or that door. Like we keep the tools. So whatever door we walk through, it doesn't matter. We always end up in the psyche. So fawn trauma response, I learned the Codependency No More book, I think is like 25 years old. So I had learned about that a really long time ago. And I just label myself like I'm codependent. Like that's what that is. But it wasn't until Pete Walker's book and me really starting to get a handle in all the, new psychological research and neuroscience and all that stuff got me interested in, when I learned about the freeze response, and that was a great day because I'm like, oh, that's me. what was I going to say? Oh, okay. So codependency. So I could just work the Codependency No More book, and it's just a classic. It's a great book, with lots of valuable information. Well, while I was working on that book, I was working on CPTSD the whole time. But so then I read Pete Walker's book, and he talked about fawning, and so fawning is codependency. Fawn, little Bambi equals codependent. Same. They're the same thing. And so the whole time I was working on my codependency, I was working on my CPTSD. The whole time I was working on my eating disorder, I was working on my CPTSD. And so for me, I just like to keep it simple. And remember, Freud says that we can use, the intelligence is used in service of the neuroses. The intelligence is used in service of the neuroses. So being smart and knowledgeable about all the psychological things actually doesn't help us heal our psyche. It's helpful because now we know, oh, it's a thing. This is me. I have a label. And the only reason we want labels is so we can find the answers. Like, let me find the solutions from other people who have already done the path, like Pete Walker or whatever, or like Melody Beatty, or, all these people who talk about, trauma. And yeah, so for me, I like to keep it simple. So it's like, so for me, yes, I have CPTSD. Yes, I have this eating disorder. Yes, I have blah, 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 whatever. But I deal with the thing that's kind of in front of me. So I take those grand labels and then get real specific, because I want to do problem solving. And so if my food issues are a problem today, guess who's going to be working on their food issues? Guess who's going to be going to a meeting? Guess who's going to be talking to her sponsor or whatever, so I can heal this food issue. But I'm 100% working on my CPTSD. Like, that's what that is. Oh, I'm in a fight with so-and-so. Okay, now how am I hooked? You haven't seen this new, I love a prop. How am I hooked? Who's hooking me? Can you believe this is actually a teething ring? I am obsessed with it. One time I got hooked. I've just had this for a couple of weeks. One time I got hooked. I just put it in my mouth. I'm like, it's a teething ring. And I'm like, I'm not allowed to take it out of my mouth until I get unhooked from this. So it's like if my husband was smoking and I'm like, oh, I'm mad at him again, even though I paid the price of admission. So I don't want to be hooked. So if I'm hooked about something, a resentment or an expectation, I'm going to do that work to get unhooked by it. And that is me healing my CPTSD. And that is me healing my eating disorder. Because if I'm hooked on something, that means I might use my medicine, my self-medication, to help myself. So I like to, so I always like, let me just, and it all doesn't need to fit. Remember at the beginning, take what you need and leave the rest. So if a bitch is talking about freeze mode all the time and you don't know what it doesn't relate to you because you can't even imagine, that's not for you. You're what's for you. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you or that you don't have as much CPTSD as I do. It means that yours expresses itself differently. What I have noticed, and also PS, not self-aware. You are not self-aware. You're absolutely aware. Just to think that you might have trauma is being aware. So yes, we use all 4 trauma responses. I can be a flight mode bitch, but normally I don't leave the house, so there's not really that much to fly away from. And I put safe people in my house, so I don't have to fly. But I am, that one comes up for me, and I've just created a life in which I don't have to do that. I don't have to peace out. But if I'm going somewhere, we always need a plan on how to get out in a healthy way. What was I going to say? Oh, okay. So what I've noticed is, so we all have all 4, absolutely. But what I've noticed is that we seem to use 2 more than any other. But you might be one that uses 3 the same amount. So it doesn't matter. And that's another instance of like, trust yourself, trust your gut. Like, this is how my trauma shows up in these ways. I had a question one time about a person who is a freeze mode and a flight mode, and her flight mode is to clean the house. And so she needs to freeze, but her flight trauma response won't let her have a clean house. And so that's her interaction. That's her thing that she's having to work on, is to figure out the balance from that. And so yeah, so that's that. But yeah, we're codependent. So I wouldn't be worried about the codependency label. If you are a fawn, you are codependent. You don't need to worry about it. And we can use Melody Beatty's book to, give us tools and helpfulness, because Pete Walker talks about the fawn, but she really, like, her whole book is about being a fawn. So anyway, okay, so this is the last question. So I'm starting to realize how pervasive my fawning is. With an HSP ability, yes, to read the room so it goes deep. Yes, this week I've started to be a bit confused and identity crisis about it all. Like, how do you tell what is legitimately you, your thing, who you are, and what actions to take that are yours when you've always been fawning? Basically, how to find yourself and all of that. That's an amazing question. Okay. So I love I saw this somewhere. It's like, what you call your personality is really your trauma responses. And there's truth in that. There is truth in that. And I have held an identity, growing up, like, I'm a good girl, I'm a nice girl, I do nice things for other people, I want to help people, like, that's, and a lot of that was fun. But then some of it is also, I'm a Virgo and I am an HSP, and I see things that maybe other people don't see, or feel things that other people don't hear. And that is me. And so for me, it's one of the things about therapy and this, and maybe you've noticed it in my classes or in the way I answer questions, I have to sort them out. We have to sort things out. Like we needed to sort out grief from feeling, pushing people away, or keeping people, keeping men at a arm's length. We have to sort those things out, and sorting out, so for me, it's an ongoing process of sorting things out. For instance, I can have an HSP situation where I'm like, oh, I see this person is in a lot of pain. And before, I would have sacrificed everything to go help them with that pain. But because I know fawning is destructive to other people, I don't do that. I can love you. I can support you. If you ask me a question, I can tell you what comes up for me, but I don't know what's best for another human being. And so for me, the answer has always and will always be tools. For me to truly find myself, it has been, let me use tools. So when I clear away a resentment, when I clear away an expectation, when I clear away an addiction, when I clear away that trauma response, that trauma response, that trauma response, that codependency, that this, when I clear all this away, oh, I understand what a narcissist is. That's narcissism. Oh, that's gaslighting. Let me understand these dynamics. And then there I am. Once I sort all these things out, it's like, oh, look who's here. She's here. And so as I heal my trauma, I become more me. That's one of the things, people, it's also very funny. Like, people say, you've changed once you've gone to therapy. It's like, yeah, I'm more me now. And I guess you don't like that, So we just become more ourselves. But it is hard in the beginning to know. And so and I would say, then we don't need to worry about that. We don't need to worry about, is this my HSP, or is this me? Is this me fawning, or is this me? We just use tools. And I have tools that help me not fawn. I have tools that help me not be codependent with people. Again, not because I'm taking care of me, but because I want to stop hurting people, because fawning hurts people. This just popped in my head. I don't know if it's true, but it's like, oh my God, I think it's true. I think fawning might be, it's like fawning is a more deceitful fight mode. Like we will want to help them, but we're mad at them that they keep doing the thing, you know, but we got to help them. We got to fix it. We got to do, but then we carry all this resentment and these expectations or whatever. So I don't know how I got onto that, but and again, it's just another example of how the trauma responses interplay with each other. But yeah, so just about fawning, because it can be hard. It's like, well, I want to be a good person, so why do I want to give up being a fawn? Sorry, not time for a call. Yeah, so okay. Okay, so I think that is about it. Does anybody have any comments? A quick question before we wrap things up? Oh, I see a question in the chat. The bingo is in the links in my bio. So in the link in my bio, you'll see a link to the class that I taught on it, and you'll see downloadable cards in the link in my Instagram bio. Let's see. Does anybody have any comments or a takeaway or anything? You've got one? Is that you, Jay? Yes, awesome. Please go ahead. Oh, unmute yourself. I'll unmute you.
Oh, you were talking to me. Hi, it's
There you go.
Jodalisa.
Hi. Yes.
My question is very quick. I'm just wondering if you're going to do one of these again, Elizabeth, because my week was so busy. I did not have time to come up with a good question for you, but I know I've got some buried deep down inside.
Yes, I definitely am. I'm going to do more of these, and I'm going to do more classes. But I really like questions because I can't just heal my codependency. Like, I don't know how to do that, but I do know how to talk about wanting somebody not to smoke and they're smoking. I do know how to deal with that. And as somebody who's tried to learn these things, it's always helpful for me to hear the example that actually helps me apply it more to my life, you know, versus like just reading something in a book or whatever. But yes, thank you. I'm so glad that you liked it.
Yeah, that's incredibly clear in how this has gone. And I'm like, oh, I wish I'd gotten a question in.
Oh, you're so cute. And I apologize to anybody who I didn't get to their question. Like that's so cool. I'm so excited that we had so many questions and that so I'll definitely be doing it again. Maybe, I don't know what it is, maybe like in 3 weeks or so, but yeah, definitely. Yay. I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's see, how many people were here? 30. So 30 times 15, which I cannot do math right now. And normally I can't do math anyway, but wait. No, I think I can. Who can tell me what 30 times 15 is?
450.
What is it?
450.
That's what we gave to, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thinking, Matt. That's what we gave to stop Asian hate. Like we did that all together. So at least that. So thank you all for doing that. And it's just nice to, you know, we feel so helpless and it's just nice to take some action, you know, and that helps us to live in a solution rather than in the problem. So anyway, thank you everyone for being here. I love you. I hope this is
Can I just say something?
Please.
I just want to, and I hope I don't cry. I just want to say thank you so much because I just found you recently, or not too, 6 months ago or something. And it's just really changed my life a lot. And I've, especially like all your tools, like that is so important, like having actual real things that you can do, because I feel like people so often will say like, people will say, you have to do the work. And it's like, well, what is the work? So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
That's so funny. That's why I started. Well, if I started doing those stories, like taking you through my day a little bit and how I think about things, by accident. It was actually to help me. One of the principles in the 12-step program is you to keep what you have, you give it away or whatever. So you, but it was to help me. And then the feedback I got, like, bitch, this is helpful. Like, it is very helpful to see when you're in a fucking mess. Like, it's just very helpful.
Yeah.
And it does make it real. And it did make me think, like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen anybody in it talking about how to work on it and how to think about it. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I truly appreciate
So
that.
thank you so much. You mean
You're
so much to me.
So welcome. You too. I love you all so much. Like, it's just what a neat thing that we found each other and that we're doing all this shit together. Like, it was so lonely before, like, and that we were being asked to do all this hard shit and we felt like we were the only ones doing it. And now we know we're not. And that's what's so neat. Like, it touches me every time, like, just sharing the stuff in my stories, like other people's bingo cards. It's helpful for me to see other people doing it. It's like, oh, that helps me do it. Also helps because our default is going unconscious. And so to see someone else's bingo card, it's like, oh, right, where's my bingo card? I haven't seen that thing for days. Like, it's just very helpful to keep all this stuff in the forefront. So thank you all so much. Love you, love you, love you. And that's what we're doing. Like, we're just going to keep getting better and better. Our little Dumbledore's Army, our little CPTSD Kids Incorporated. Like, we're doing it. And it's fucking radical. Thank you. Like, it's just like, we're doing amazing shit and we're changing everybody's lives. Notice how much the people that you love's lives are changing, especially for full-on fawns. Their lives are actually better when we're not fawning them. Like, when we're actually, like, their lives are better when we're better. Like, their day goes better if we have our bingo card, if we're doing our stuff, like it. And so it's crazy. And then, oh, it's so exciting. I could talk about it forever. Okay. Thank you all again. Love you, love you, love you. I'll see you soon. Love you. Wait. Hold on. Don't make it awkward. Love you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Elizabeth.
You're welcome, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.